Retro Tech Toys is proudly sponsored by PCBWay. Get your PCBs today with quick turnaround time and as low as $5 for your first order plus shipping. They even do CNC and 3D printing work, so make sure to check out PCBWay.com today. And by Linode Cloud Computing. Simple, affordable, and accessible. Whether you're working on a personal project such as a game or app, or you're managing your enterprise's infrastructure, Linode has the pricing, support, and scale you need to take your ideas to the next level. Check them out for free today with a $100 credit by clicking the link below. Thanks for watching Retro Tech Toys. We're back again today, and I've got Adora, the American Eskimo, here joining me today. If she decides to stay through the whole thing, she probably won't. She just does her own little thing. But anyway, we're going to discuss CRTs versus modern displays. Maybe we'll talk about a couple of pros and cons for each one, and we'll just have a little discussion about them. So let's get started. So modern displays are great for many things, including watching HD TV or playing modern games. They're lightweight, more compact than ever, even the big one, and they're becoming more affordable by the day. If you want to watch a 4K stream or play a PS5 or an Xbox game, a modern display, the nicest one you can get with the highest resolution, is absolutely the thing that you want to be doing that on. And there's no doubt that if you're a modern PC gamer, especially someone who competes and plays games competitively, you're going to want something that's got very crisp picture, a huge display, maybe even multiple displays stacked around each other. However, this is a retro channel and we don't do much of that around here. Modern tech has gifted us with some of the finest, low-lag, crystal clear, thinnest displays possible. So why do we still love those old, clunky, heavy, giant CRTs? When you get into things like scaling, you're pretty much not going to beat a good old CRT. They're a favorite of retro gamers because these old games were optimized for CRTs specifically. We love the scan lines, we love the deep near perfect blacks, we love the tube hum when you turn one on and it comes to life. A great CRT is nostalgic because that's what many of us OG retro gamers grew up with, and that's the experience we want to continue having. You can emulate scan lines and other features of CRT, but it just doesn't look the same on a modern display, and I don't think any of us can question that. Now here's a CRT Pro. CRTs are considered a throwaway item by many people, therefore they're often pretty cheap, and you can acquire them on the secondhand market for next to nothing, sometimes for nothing. I see posts every single day for free or cheap CRTs on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, basically everywhere where people can advertise secondhand items. So this is a great opportunity to actually grab one of those if you're in the market for one, if you want the real experience of a retro game. Now for the CRT cons. CRTs are considered a throwaway item by many people. More and more of them are turning into e-waste because they're either faulty, and too expensive to repair, or they're just simply considered old and outdated trash by their original owners. I can't tell you how often I've seen a CRT listed on Facebook Marketplace or somewhere like that, and it's free, and in the listing they say, if you don't come pick it up today, we're going to throw this thing out, we're going to put it in the trash. Unfortunately, that creates a huge e-waste problem, and we're going to see more and more and more of that as time goes on, and a lot of this older tech that was produced just isn't popular anymore. Especially the really big heavy stuff. People just don't want them anymore. Now, I've seen those giant projection TVs sitting on the side of the road constantly, either waiting for the trash person, or there's a sign that says, "Free, please take me home." I see those things all over the place. Also consider that replacement parts can be really hard to source because they're not being made anymore. Also because you've got to get them from a donor CRT in many cases. So, you've got to have the exact same CRT or at least something comparable that you can get the parts off of them. Not many people are going to have an old donor CRT TV sitting around in their house because, again, they're huge, they're heavy, they take up so much space. Maybe you've got one in your basement or your attic, maybe you don't. Who knows? Now, what about new CRTs? Can't we just go out and get new CRTs? Because after all, there are people manufacturing all sorts of things now that hadn't been in production for a really long time, and we're starting to see those things made again. You're starting to see new versions of the Commodore 64, new versions of the ZX Spectrum, and all that stuff. But what about CRTs? Unfortunately, none of the manufacturing plants that did CRTs, none of them are in business anymore, or, none of them have the equipment needed to manufacture these. So if you wanted to create a new plant that manufactured brand new CRTs for all of us, it would be prohibitively expensive. There's just not the market for it. They wouldn't sell enough. And, it's just going to take a really big, expensive endeavor to put those back in production again. It's just not going to happen. Now, there is new old stock. You can still go just about anywhere, eBay, wherever you want, and find brand new box, never opened stuff from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And CRTs are certainly no exception. There's a problem with that, though. While they've never been used before and they're technically brand new, they're going to have a lot of the same issues that older stuff has nowadays, such as dead capacitors, leaking parts, whatever, water damage if they were stored incorrectly. So you're going to run into a lot of the same problems, and there's a good chance that you could get one that still works, but there's also a really good chance that you're going to get one that has a box that looks great, and you open it up and you take it out and you're left with garbage. So let's talk about new modern displays now. We've talked plenty about CRTs, but what about those beautiful, crisp, lightweight, new modern displays? Well, modern displays such as LCD and LED TVs are becoming more and more inexpensive by the day. Unfortunately, quality can be an issue here as well. As prices go down, it seems that the quality is going down as well, save for the most expensive models. Even some of those aren't lasting as long as they should, so you might go out and you might see a 42-inch TV for $185 US, and you pick it up and you're like, wow, I've got this big new modern display, but it was cheaply made. It might have a great picture for a while. Eventually the thing's going to go out, you're going to have dead pixels, or it's just not going to work one day. I've actually had two TVs that I bought cheaply, and they were brand new, beautiful television sets, and they had a great picture. Took them home, plugged them in. They didn't even last a year. And I had one of them that didn't even last when we moved from house to house, and it was carefully transported. I mean, things are just so cheaply made now. Of course, you can go out and spend thousands of dollars still and get a really, really good display that's going to last you a long time. But I think most of us are probably going into our local electronics store and kind of getting lower to mid-range stuff. When you talk about modern displays, you should probably mention plasma screens a little bit. Are these considered modern or old? And I would say yes, they're probably both. Older plasma displays are getting harder to come by. I mean, they look great, and they come with their own set of problems. They get really hot, so if you want a space heater that plays your games and all your favorite TV shows, plasma screens might just be for you. Some folks still swear by them, but they haven't stood the test of time very well, and many plasma displays have already given out or on the verge of giving out. You might have one that still works great. Your mom or your dad might have one that they've been watching for 10 or 15 years every day, and it still works great, but it's only a matter of time before those things start going out as well. So their days are definitely numbered. That said, if you can get one for next to nothing, the blacks are super black, and they have an overall great picture. So as long as you have one that works, or you can get one cheaply, secondhand, it's a good option. But if you're a retro gamer, there's a good chance you understand why we love these big old CRTs. They help to bring back our younger days. They give us that sense of nostalgia that we're always chasing. Nothing beats sitting in your living room with your Nintendo controller in your hand, spending hours and hours and hours in Super Mario, Blaster Master, Legend of Zelda, or Mega Man. It doesn't matter how advanced we become as a civilization. It doesn't matter the advancements that we make in tech. Nothing will ever match our childhood experiences. So whatever your experience was as a child, it might be completely outdated now, and it might be something that folks would see you enjoy and laugh about, but it's what you had as a child. It's that nostalgia that makes it super special. My question for everybody today is this: what do you prefer? Are you a fan of CRTs? Are you a fan of modern displays? Do you like to go in between? And do you still have a plasma television? Are you happy reliving those experiences through emulation or through a modern device that can play the older games through HDMI on a modern TV? There's really no right or wrong answer here, so let's talk about what you prefer in the comments below. I appreciate every one of you. Stay safe. Thanks for watching Retro Tech Toys.